What's up, everybody? I hope y'all are having a wonderful day. My name's Anthony. On today's video, we are going to be doing another honest review. This one's going to be on the Tops Silent Hero knife. Right now, just like every single one of my other honest reviews, I'm completely upfront about everything I've done with this knife or with anything I review. I always buy it with my own money. I am not being given any kind of credit. I'm not giving any kind of refund, none of that stuff. I literally buy these products with my own money and test them out and show them on the channel because I like or I don't like what I'm seeing and I want to show y'all. So no one bought this for me. No one's giving me kind of, money back for it. This is all me. With every single one of my honest reviews, I do the exact same thing. I go over 5 things I really like about the product and 5 things I don't like so much because I want to give everybody the chance to understand before they purchase something the things that I like that you may not be able to read about in the description from the company. Because obviously they're going to tell you the good stuff, probably not none of the bad stuff. So this is my way of keeping it fair. Now when I bought this thing, I bought this right after Christmas last year. As you can tell, it is about almost October. So that is a good 10 months of study with this thing. Now I'm going to be completely honest when I say that I have not been able to be out in the woods as much as I usually am because I have a kid. It's one of those things where you can't go out all the time like you want to. But the times I do go out, this thing is absolutely on my hip, so I've had plenty of time to test it out and see what I like and what I don't like about it. Alright, so first and foremost, my #1 pro for this knife is the design. I absolutely love the design of this knife. It is very similar to what? A chef's knife. And as you know, if you've ever watched my channel, you know that I absolutely love to cook. I'm always cooking some sort of wild game, whatever, breads, you name it. I'm always cooking something. So if I can get something that's very similar to a knife that I handle all the time in the kitchen, that's, aces in my book. And that's exactly what this knife is. It is very close to a chef's knife, so whenever I handle it, I feel very comfortable. Got a drop point, very nice weight to it. And if you look at the spine, it has got an extremely beefy design. So this thing is definitely designed and meant to, absolutely handle whatever you have to do. This is a medium-sized knife, about 12 inches long. So when it comes down to doing everything you need to do out in the woods, this thing can handle most stuff. So when it comes down to it, the beefiness of it, the versatility of it is something I love beyond, whatever I can comprehend. And I just feel very comfortable holding this. So absolutely, #1, I have to mention the design. Okay, so that brings me on to #2. My second favorite thing about this knife is the fact that just like every other Tops knife out there that I know of, this is made out of 1095 hard carbon steel. High carbon steel is excellent for throwing sparks if you wanted to light a fire from a ferrocerium rod, but it is also extremely easy to sharpen. So if you are out in the bush, you can grab a piece of sandstone, a piece of glass, the bottom of your coffee cup, and you could really put a good edge on this knife. It does not take much, time to sharpen, and that is excellent, especially if you are constantly doing something. So if you do happen to roll an edge or dull an edge, you can easily put a new one on here fairly quickly, unlike, other knives that may have something like a D2 tool steel, which is a pain in the butt to sharpen. This is very easy. Okay, so #3 is going to be the balance. I know this is kind of hard to explain via the camera, but if you hold right here, you can see the balance is right in the middle. All right, which means that when you grab a hold of it, by the way, this is the size of the handle. I'm 6'4", I wear extra large gloves, so if you want to see the size of the handle, that's it. But when you're talking about balance, if you have a very heavy front blade, then yeah, you're going to get a lot of power chopping, but it's going to wear you out quicker. And this is a very light blade. This is only about 12 ounces. So when you have the balance like you do right here in the center, you can do a lot of work without really getting tired, and you're not getting that fatigue in your forearm and your grip. So having something that's balanced like it is actually really good in the long run. So when I was able to start using this thing and I realized I can really kind of go out doing like some serious chopping if I need to, and I'm not getting tired and my grip strength isn't gone, I'm attributing that to the balance. So that is a very good design point, and I wanted to put that here as #3. Moves me on to #4, and that is going to be the fact that all Tops knives, as far as I'm aware of, are made in the United States. It is very nice to know that when you are buying a product from a company that is being made in the United States, because a lot of companies like to ship things overseas, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, because I know, companies like Condor, who use El Salvadorian metal, still make really good products. I'm not knocking people who don't use USA. The fact of the matter is, though, I'm a humongous fan of buying things that are made in the United States. So the fact that this is, and it even says so right there, is a very good thing, and I like that. All right, so my fifth and final pro of this knife is going to be the fact that there are 2 lanyard holes. Now, you can't be too safe, especially when you start getting out in the woods and you're out for a very long time and you might start getting tired. So the fact that I have a lanyard hole here, which I would tie something bright to so I could find my knife if I put it down, is, a really good benefit. Not to mention the fact that you have one here, so if you wanted to tie it almost to your hand, so if your hand starts getting tired, you can still use it, that's even better. But one of my favorite aspects of it is this was designed to where you could potentially lash this thing to a stick and make an improvised spear. So not a lot of knives have this, and this was a nice little cool feature I saw that I've seen people use. And I haven't tried using it as a spear, but it's nice to know that I can if I wanted to. So the fact that you have 2 lanyard holes is a good thing, and I wanted to add that as my number 5. All right, so that brings me to the cons list, the things that I do not like. I don't care what company you may be going for, what product you may get. I guarantee there's going to be one or a few things that you may not like about a product. Now, the things I mentioned in this list, on the cons list, is very small. I'm honestly having to pick the things that I didn't like and kind of blow them up for this list, because in reality, I really do like this knife. So when I mention these things in the cons list, they aren't things that have made me hate the knife in any way, but I have to fill out 5 cons for my honest review section, so that's why I'm mentioning these things. So first and foremost, the one thing that I definitely do not like is the sheath. I do like the idea of the sheath and the design of the sheath, but the one thing that has been killing me every time I go to use this knife, I put it on my belt loop, okay? You can put 550 cord and tie it to your leg if you want to, which is actually a good thing. But every time I use this knife, I'm out in the woods, back here, I was using this a lot when I was setting up my deer stand. When I go to use this, I pull the knife out, I do whatever I gotta do, and I go to put it back in. I'm gonna show you exactly what happens. Okay, you see? This is the sharp end of the knife. Look what happens. It stops because of this, the retaining. All right? So what you're going to do when you're not paying attention and you're not looking, you're going to think, oh, it stops, everything's good, she's in, and you're going to snap it down. But, as you can tell, you're not in at all. You just think you are, because this little lanyard hole that was a good thing comes back and bites you because you're not seated all the way. So what you have to do to make sure that it's seated is you have to manually pull this all the way back out of the way. That way you can make sure that it's seated, then snap it down. Which I know doesn't seem like a big deal, but when you're tasked doing something else and you're going one-handed, it gets kind of like, okay, I'm getting annoyed here having to use 2 hands to hold this one piece out of the way and then slide it down. So that is the one thing I would change. There's really not much you can do to fix that except revamp the entire design. I get why they did it, but it kind of comes back and bites you, because like I said, you put it down and that happens. All it takes is for you to take a couple steps uphill and this thing's falling out and you don't realize it. Congratulations, you just lost your knife, and I don't want that to happen. Okay, so number 2. This is going to be another nitpick, but it is something that I have noticed I don't really enjoy versus some of my other knives, and that is going to be the handle. I like the micarta. Feels good in the hand. The only thing I don't like is this little tread design. They put these little grooves in there to, I guess, help facilitate more grip. But in reality, when you get sweaty, all it does is actually give you less material to hold on to. So when you're swinging this thing around, you're swinging, you're losing space, friction points, because of that design. So if anything, what I'm probably going to do is I'm going to take these scales off and make my own. So I'll probably get some hickory or oak handles, put it on here and build my own, which unfortunately, you don't have to do that. You can still stick with these and be just fine. But for, like I said, nitpicker's sake, I'm mentioning this because, again, as you start getting sweaty, you do realize that you're losing contact points. So I get it. I understand the whole point of mass producing things. Not everybody's going to like certain aspects. I guarantee there's people out there that like this design. But for me personally, my opinion, I'm losing a little bit of grip space, friction points by having that. I would much rather have just a solid handle. That brings me to number 3. There is a reason, I'm sure some of y'all are probably watching this video, maybe even made comments about it already in the comment section, but there's a reason why I left it on here. This is a high carbon steel. It's a 1095. And guess what that means? You're gonna get some surface rust, especially if you live in an area like me, South Carolina, where the humidity is up 70, 80, 90% all the time. So as you can tell, because I use this knife, it's not like I don't use these things, you can see the rust marks. This stone wash stood up probably for the good first 4 or 5 months. But as I've used this thing and the stone wash finish starts coming off, you can see the surface rust coming. Now I've oiled this thing a few times, but like I said, every time I use this thing very heavily. And it's during the summertime when I'm sweating like a pig. So obviously it doesn't matter, you're going to get moisture on this blade. So if you have a high carbon steel, then any moisture that lands on this blade is going to start to surface rust. So I didn't clean this off for the video for this purpose, so I can show you the con of having high carbon in a humidity rich environment. You will get some surface rust. So all you got to do is, before you put this thing back, rub off some of this surface rust and put a little bit of oil on there and you'll be just fine. But again, I left this on there to show you what happens with a high carbon steel in South Carolina. So that brings me to number 4, con. This isn't really that big of a deal, but it is if you want something right now. A lot of times this knife is so popular that it is back ordered from the factory. Tops only gives out so many a year and they go fairly quickly. So when you go on their own website, you'll see back ordered. You can go on a few other places and they're either going to be back ordered or very limited supply. So when it comes down to it, I get it, this is a very popular design. I wanted this very badly. But I ended up having to wait like 3 weeks after I ordered it because it was back ordered. Like I said, because the factory only puts out so many of these. So I noticed you can get them a lot on Amazon because a lot of the dealers like to grab up a lot of them when they have a surplus and they sell them incrementally, so they don't have these kind of issues. But it is an issue if you want something right now. So you can't go out to the store and buy this right now. But if you wanted to go ahead and pick one up when you see it, Amazon's usually one of the best ways to do that. But like I said, Knife Center, Knife Depot, all them places have them too. I'll put a link down to where I bought it down in the description so you can get it yourself if you would like this knife. But like I said, the availability is kind of iffy on it, so that's why I had to put it as number 4. And that brings me to my final con. I have to mention this because I'm grasping at straws here trying to fill out the cons list, but it is something that affected me, so I'm going to mention it. The price point. This is $160, if not more now, from when I bought it. I think I bought like $155, and as I'm seeing, they're anywhere between $160 and $180. This is not a cheap knife, okay? This isn't one of those specials that you can go buy from Academy Sports or Bass Pro Shops or wherever and spend, $60, $70, $80 for a good full tang knife and be fine. This is expensive, all right? This is one of those things where I had to plan it out. I had to save 20 bucks a week so I could afford buying this thing, okay? And because I had to wait over, 2 months to actually get this thing, it meant a little bit more to me because I had to wait so long. So when I was buying this, that $160 price point was like kind of a kick in the nuts. So like I said, if you are one of those budget conscious people in the bushcraft community, in the preparedness community, self-reliance, whatever, then you might look at this and balk at the price. I know I did, but I wanted it so bad, that's why I ended up saving. So like I said, if I'm doing any kind of list where the cons list, having a $160 knife is definitely a con, but you get what you pay for. As you can see, it is extremely quality construction. The steel is excellent and the design is excellent. So in my opinion, it's worth it, but again, it is a con. All right, so there you have it. That is my list. Those are my 5 pros and 5 cons of this knife. Again, I will repeat, this is by far my favorite knife that I own now. And yes, I own a K-bar. I'm a Marine, and I think this knife is better than my K-bar. I know that's like super sacrilegious, and I'm probably going to get, Chesty Puller who's going to come down here and choke me or something. But yes, I like this better than my K-bar. So I wanted to go on camera and say that because this knife is totally worth it. I know some of the cons might be like, I I don't really like this aspect, whatnot, but I think the pros absolutely outweigh the cons. No questions asked. If you are looking for a great knife at a medium price point, check this one out. You will not be disappointed. So if you learned something from the video, if you like this video, please do me a humongous favor and give me a thumbs up. It really does help out my channel. Subscribe, and I'll catch y'all later, okay?